The rain had no mercy that night. It poured from the sky in thick silver sheets, turning the narrow roadside into a river of reflections and broken streetlight halos. Aisha tightened her grip on the steering wheel, squinting through the blurred windshield as the wipers struggled to keep up. Her 5-year-old son, Hamza, slept quietly in the back seat, his small chest rising and falling under a faded blue blanket. It had been another exhausting shift at the diner, smiling through insults, counting tips twice, pretending she wasn't drowning in bills. As a single mother, she had learned to carry storms inside her heart without letting them show. But that night, the storm outside felt heavier than usual. Then she saw him. An old man walking alone in the rain, his thin frame bent slightly forward, his clothes soaked through, one trembling hand shielding his eyes while the other clutched a worn leather briefcase. Cars sped past him, splashing water at his legs, not one slowing down. Aisha's foot hovered over the accelerator. She could drive on. She was already late. She had responsibilities. But something about the way he stumbled made her chest ache. With a deep breath, she pulled over. Rolling down her window, rain splashing onto her arm, she called out, "Sir. Please, get in, let me take you home." The old man looked startled, as if kindness was a language he had forgotten. For a second, he hesitated. Then, slowly, he approached the car. Up close, she could see the exhaustion in his pale blue eyes and the dignity he was trying hard not to lose. "I don't want to trouble you," he said, his voice barely audible over the rain. "It's no trouble," Aisha insisted gently. "No one should walk alone in a storm." He nodded and carefully got into the passenger seat, water dripping onto the worn fabric. The heater hummed softly as she handed him a small towel from the back. They drove in silence at first, the only sound the rhythm of rain against metal. After a few minutes, he spoke. "You are very kind, young lady. Not many would stop." She smiled faintly. "My mother used to say, if you can be someone's shelter for even 5 minutes, do it." He turned toward her, studying her face as if memorizing it. He asked about her life, and she answered honestly, about her husband leaving when Hamza was just a baby, about juggling 2 jobs, about dreams she had quietly folded away like old letters. She didn't complain. She simply stated facts, as if pain had become ordinary. When they reached a modest but elegant house at the edge of town, she assumed it belonged to a caretaker he worked for. The gates slowly opened as they approached. Aisha blinked in confusion. The driveway lights flickered on automatically, illuminating a grand estate hidden behind tall hedges. She glanced at him in surprise, but he only smiled softly. "Thank you," he said as the car stopped. "You have given an old man more than a ride tonight." She waved it off. "Just promise me you'll stay dry next time." He chuckled lightly and stepped out, pausing before closing the door. "What is your name?" "Aisha." "Aisha," he repeated thoughtfully. Kindness has a way of returning home. She didn't understand what he meant, and she didn't wait to find out. She drove away, unaware that the man she had just helped was Mr. Rahman, the reclusive billionaire owner of one of the largest development companies in the country. That night, he sat in his study, staring at the rain through massive glass windows, replaying her words. No one should walk alone in a storm. The next morning, Aisha arrived at work expecting another ordinary day of spilled coffee and tired smiles. Instead, a sleek black car pulled up outside the diner. 2 sharply dressed men stepped inside, asking for her by name. Her heart pounded as customers whispered. Had she done something wrong? Was this about unpaid parking tickets? The men handed her a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter and a set of keys. The letter read, "Dear Aisha, last night you reminded me that humanity still exists in its purest form. I have spent years building empires, yet I nearly forgot how it feels to be seen as simply human. I own this building, and as of today, you are no longer an employee, you are the manager. Additionally, a fully funded education account has been opened for your son. Consider it not a reward, but a thank you. You once said no one should walk alone in a storm. From this day forward, neither will you." Tears blurred her vision as the weight of his words sank in. The customers who once overlooked her now stared in awe. But what moved her most wasn't the promotion or the financial relief, it was the realization that one small act of kindness had rewritten her story. That evening, she hugged Hamza tighter than ever, whispering, "Never stop being kind, my love. You never know whose life you're changing." And somewhere across town, an old man smiled, knowing that sometimes, angels don't descend from the sky, they drive old cars and work double shifts. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that kindness still has power, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Join us for more emotional and life-changing stories that prove one simple act can transform a destiny.